Oh, he would go, oh, I can't do it.
It stayed with me the whole afternoon.
You mean the beads and the
Taste.
The
Yeah.
beats, yes.
Oh, come on. Christine has good ideas. Don't you think so, Marianne?
Wally, show her. Please show her.
Sure.
Only
will.
you can do it. I can't do it.
I don't know what I look like then.
Well, and Christine
Truly.
said,
Just remember,
Yeah,
just recall that taste.
yes.
I can't. It was bad. That's all I know.
And I don't have any beets here or kale that I can mix up. Was it?
Oh, no problem. I can bring it.
Oh,
I would
do you have
drink it
beets from your
anyway.
yard? The whole thing, the whole plant goes in.
Well,
Puts lemons in everything too. The whole lemon goes in. The where
Good.
it's attached to the tree, the part that sticks
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And then what else?
oh, the stem? Kind of with the stem?
Everything. And
No, there's
the
no stem
directions.
with the lemon.
No,
but
there's
the
no
part-
stem, but there's a piece that sticks up, you know,
Uh-huh.
that comes off the tree. And
With all your memories. All your memories.
Yes, right.
How did you? The process of bringing up your kids. All of them. Starting with Walter and Paul and
Oh,
David.
is this
See.
for Paul's birthday? Is this what you were saying, something for Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, his birthday's this week, right?
Yes. He's still a young man.
Relatively speaking, yeah.
Friday is his birthday, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Then come David 2 days later.
2 days? Or just one day?
One day.
One day.
Thought it was 2. Well,
1
then-
year and 1 year. 1 day.
Yeah, right. And Dennis is in there too.
And Dennis?
Hans Dennis, yeah.
Has the same birthday as Paul.
Really?
Not the same year. They weren't
Yes,
born
but
the
same
year.
date. Happy birthday, Dennis, then. And then there's Andrew, yes.
Mhm.
And Marta Cecilia?
Martha, Cecilia.
Or Cecilia Marta.
Cecilia Martha, yeah, that order. By 8 minutes.
That was fast. Yeah, but I want to hear your memories from, where was that? Iowa, Idaho?
Who?
I
Seal
don't
and Martha?
No, all the boys first.
Well, Walter was Chicago. Paul was Bettendorf, Iowa. David is Carmel, California. Ann is Seattle, Washington. Andrew was Hawaii. Cecilia and Martha were here, and
Philip.
Philip was here.
That was interesting to give birth and all these pieces, parts of continent.
But you asked me the dates and the years. No, I can't remember those.
What kind of father are you?
There you go.
The best. The only one they have. It's a delicious one, Marianne.
Now, I'm so recording that I'm holding mine. A record. Are you planning to do something special for Paul?
Of course, he's special.
For his birthday, a surprise?
Right underneath us.
He has more than he needs, really. So, it's kind of, he said, would be really nice to have your memories.
My memories?
Yours and Marianne's.
I was
Oh,
gone.
she's still
I was
eating
gone when they were
peanut.
born.
I want to
Not
hear.
when Paul was born.
No, when Paul was born, I was there.
And David, too.
Yeah.
So, which kid kicked you when you get back home?
Walter.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see Walter till he was 13 months old.
He
And
punched
he
you
punched me in the eye.
Said we were in a motel in Iowa, and he sat up. He was in bed with us, and Walter said, "Lay down." And little Walter just went, bang. Yeah, he wasn't very old.
And what
And
did
then
you?
little Walter climbed into the toilet in the motel, up to his knees in water, splashing in the toilet.
Having fun.
And then they came to us in the motel, the manager, and he said, somebody turned off all the electricity in the motel, and the master control was by his crib in the motel. Walter had opened the fuse box and went click, click.
Oh, so that's not only Paul who is being such adventurous guy.
No, they did well together, but no, they learned though, if one went out the front door, one went out the back door. And your Paul could climb out of his high chair at about 6 months, 7 months. He would just
Wiggle.
and down he'd go and out a door, and little Walter would go out the front door and he would try to get out the back door. I had to call him home from school a couple times because I couldn't find little Walter, who was only, let's see, 3 years old.
And where was Paul at that time?
I had to hang on to him. I had to hang on to him because he could run. People were just, our neighbors were fascinated with him. What did Paul do today?
So which one was more adventurous, Walter or Paul?
I think Paul.
Paul, probably, yeah. And Paul did more climbing than Walter did. Paul climbed anything that you could get a foothold on. Yeah, he was the one in Monterey, the second place we lived in Monterey, those nice houses.
Yep.
And he got out in the morning, he would come home with the neighbor's milk that was delivered to them under his arm. He was just about, what, 3 or 4? And of course we didn't know who he took it from.
So what did you do?
Where's Paul? There he'd be. Milk.
They got an early start on my martinis then too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Good martinis?
Well,
I want to hear about
I'd
it.
come home from school and have a martini, and he'd get sips.
Oh, wait a second. He was working. He was on a ship by then, yes?
No, I was going to school in Monterey.
Okay.
That was just before David was born.
So he tasted if you are drinking the right stuff.
Oh,
Was it that?
This
got
was
drunk. He got
gin
drunk.
martinis.
Yes. Because Walter said, well, I'll see how much he can drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way to cure them, is to fill them up. Not really.
So was Walter the son drinking with Paul? He's like trying it.
He wasn't interested.
Yeah, so Paul is the curious one. Good. Mhm.
And Walter came to visit the hospital in Carmel where David was born. And there were 2 wives who came in to take care of Paul.
2 wives?
2 wives, Navy wives, who
Oh, okay.
so he didn't have to bring them to the hospital to take care of Walter and Paul. And he came back from visiting, and they said, the 2 wives said, we are leaving. Paul John had a BM in his diaper, taken his diaper off, and he did a mural on the wall with it rubbed in on the different vents on the crib. And then he had taken his shoes and rubbed into the shoelaces. It was over everything. And the wife said, it's all yours. He when he came to the hospital to visit me that night, he said, I have scrubbed everything. Oh. And then when we brought David home from the hospital, David was in his bassinet, and Paul wanted to give him a present. Now mind you, he was a year and maybe 5 days older than David, and he threw this big boot of his in the bassinet. It missed David.
Of
But it was
Walter?
his present. It was Paul's present to David. Welcome.
How come I didn't hear that story before?
And
But
Paul,
they-
you know, that Paul was so he smiled all the time. He was so happy. People were immediately taken to him because he would walk up to anybody and talk to them. We thought he might be a president of the United States, but a politician anyway, because he knew how to make people feel good. some friends of Walter's visited us from Hawaii. No child would. He said, children won't have anything to do with me. Paul was taking his nap. And when Paul came out, the first thing he did was climb into this man's lap and hug him. This man almost cried. He was so touched. Because he had never had a child make any overtures to him, that was interested in him. But that was Paul's personality, Anna. People, mothers would ask if he could come and play with their children because he got along with everybody.
That's what he does.
He didn't fight. Yeah, he knows how to make people feel good. And he always has.
Isn't he amazing?
To keep him safe so he could be an adult someday. That,
After all these trees and other suspicious...
Oh, Anna, he never broke a bone. He got... Oh, the first Altar Boys picnic that he went on at Sandy Point State Park when we were here, he was running barefoot and ran into some puddles at Sandy Point.
Welcome back.
Paul John, and he stepped on a broken bottle, and they had to take him to the hospital. And on the playground in San Diego, he was sitting in a sandbox. He would have been in 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And they had rocks around there. They were doing construction on the church. And one of the children picked up a rock and it was too heavy for him and it dropped on Paul's head.
Ouch.
And I was at the commissary shopping, so Frank, the dentist across the street from us, his name was on the list. They called him and he had to leave filling a tube and come in and give them permission to take Paul to the doctor to have stitches in his head.
So he has some
He wasn't
scars.
careless. It was just he was in sometimes the wrong spots. And he was so, how can I say, he is able to stand a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Paul, when you think of how his hand was burned on Perry Circle.
How did he do that?
He had some friends at the Naval Academy, some people who worked in labs, and he was so friendly. He would stop. Well, he was interested in chemistry.
He was walking to and from St. Mary's. On the way home, he'd stop and visit his buddies in the labs, the electric lab, the chemistry lab, physics lab.
Oh, in the Naval Academy.
Yes, and they liked him. That's how friendly he was. They liked him, and they would share chemicals with him.
How old was he?
So he got some.
He must have been in what? I'm trying to think. We came here in
7th grade.
62. He would have been
6th grade or 7th grade, something like that.
At the most, he was in 7th or 8th grade. And he was always, I will tell you something I just thought of. Did we get that set of encyclopedias in San Diego, La Mesa? Isn't that where we got them?
I don't know.
However old he was, 2nd, 3rd grade, Anna,
Uh-huh.
he took them one book at a time, and there were 4 sets, and read them all the way through.
Wow. So that's what he still does.
Yes, and look at the knowledge that's in his brain.
It's huge.
And he remembers. He can talk about anything.
Yes. I wish I can remember that much what he does.
Oh, you're very bright.
But
You're
this
very
is not
bright.
competition. So what was the funniest thing he did? He and his brothers. This is
Well-
not only about Paul.
Well, Paul and David would get up in the morning, and the bear cubs, the minute they each got out of bed, they wrestled. They rolled around wrestling. So Walter had to separate them and put them in different rooms so they could get dressed and ready for school. Oh, at school, when he took, I guess it was when he brought a snake to school, he skived out a book that there was enough for the snake to curl up inside of it, and you close it and you couldn't tell it was in there. And he evidently let it out in the classroom or showed everybody. Oh, and it got away.
It got away in the principal's office.
She called and she said, Mrs. Wysocki, there is a snake somewhere on my desk. They brought it, we had Paul bring it in. Paul brought it to school. She said, oh my God, there it is. He said, still in St. Mary's are paper clips where they would open them up and when it was real boring for assembly and with a rubber band shoot them into the ceiling. He said he left his memories there. It got so I didn't want to answer the phone during the day that it might be school calling because it was nothing bad. He never hurt anybody. What do you remember, Walter, about, like when you would drive them to school or no, you didn't pick them up, they walked home.
Yeah, I don't remember driving to school even.
Except you
How
would take them
come?
in the morning.
Because I didn't.
So how was the
You
did.
teaching them driving?
You did.
Oh, teaching them driving? That's something
Yeah.
else again.
Yeah, I think I got the meatiest part of that.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, and then that's why with Cecilia and Martha, no, I did go with them too, with the grandchildren. It was so nerve-wracking after, right? Have you ever ridden with somebody who's learning how to drive?
Not much.
Well, you got to have that experience. You have to have that experience.
I refuse to.
Walter, the first time we let him drive, we had the Volkswagen bus, and that was on Perry Circle.
Oh, was that the one you crossed the country?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see, yeah. Yes, because we bought it in San Rafael and drove it
Down San Diego.
San Diego. Yeah.
Came across country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I really want to do that with Paul. To drive across the country.
Oh, it's wonderful. Of course, then there were two-lane roads, a lot of
Yeah.
two-lane roads. You know, the traffic
Not
was
many superhighways.
No, no.
And then the cars are passing?
When we came here in 1962, the summer of 1962, they were just finishing the beltway that goes around D.C. And that was a lot smaller, a lot
And Route
fewer
50
lanes.
was still a 4-lane road, wasn't it, 2-lane?
Wally?
They had just shut down. They used to have a train that ran from here into D.C. and one going up to Baltimore.
The train station was by College Creek?
I think. But the tracks were still visible when we got here in '62.
Well, you could hear hear them at night, the trains.
Well, that I think they had stopped by the time we got here, Marianne.
I don't think so. Why? Well, you
I
can
think
ask
Paul still remembers playing on tracks.
On the tracks,
On
the
the
tracks
tracks.
were still here, yes.
He
but the
remembers
trains
that
weren't
once. I don't know if I'm telling the secret and you guys don't know, but
That's very possible.
he played on the tracks and he put a coin, some sort of, I don't know, was a penny or a nickel or
Yeah.
something on the tracks, and the
It got smashed. Got
no, the guy, the
Engineer?
the engineer stopped the train, get out of the engine, picked up that coin, whatever it was.
I don't believe that.
That's one of Paul's memories, and Paul says,
Well-
I was so upset.
I don't believe it because the engineer couldn't see it on that track.
Well,
And
if he did put in
he
very
wouldn't care
late,
even.
if he did put like kind of in the very last moment and the
Yeah.
train didn't go fast, it's possible. Oh my god.
And he did a lot of things. Like the night we were supposed to go to a party and he was supposed to babysit
Paul?
Paul. he
Babysit
was out in his
for
boat.
the rest of the kids? I mean, the Cecilia and...
He had, I remember that Walter probably had to do something that night. And Paul was supposed to sit for us. And we got ready to leave and there was no Paul. And we went down and we went to the water, to the
Yeah, but
the
he had
bridge.
gone out crabbing.
Yes.
He had his own boat.
But that he had saved up from his paper route and bought.
He bought a Sears Roebuck, double-ended punt. Went out on the Severn River out to the bay, crabbing. And
From Perry Circle.
Uh-huh. And we
From
got
that
to the...
small, cute creek. What's the name of that creek?
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember it either. But
The one behind Perry Circle.
we saw him coming and he saw us. And he is tossing out crabs as fast as he can out of his boat. And every once in a while, one would get his finger. He'd be going... Oh, but that reminds me of, what was that memory? Oh, the 8th grade party when he graduated from 8th grade at St. Mary's. And one of the fellows there, they went to the class party. And I don't remember, it was somewhere near the Severn River. And one of his friends called and said, is Paul there? And I said, no. Oh, okay, thank you. Paul had swum across the Severn River as it was getting dark. And I guess another boy did it with him.
It
they
wasn't
couldn't
David or
find-
Walter?
No. This was just his grade. And they were packing up, I guess, and they couldn't find Paul and this other boy. And that's why they had called to see if he had come home. Paul swam back again. They had the police out looking for him. In fact, I think the police got to him in the water and took him in the boat. And, you know, it was just the kind of thing that turns you gray because you think of what could have happened to him. That's a wide river.
It does.
But that reminded me of that, this 8th grade party.
So what was the finish of that Paul tossing the crabs as soon as possible?
He came to us. He came to us. We were late getting to the party, but he went home and babysat.
Good. Oh, how were David and Walter then? You know, I always hear
Walter
about...
Walter was extremely responsible, and usually that's the oldest child too. You expect a lot from them, and he helped a lot. And David played, but they all would walk, they loved the little girls. They would all walk with him. And Anne, of course, they took care of. If anybody bothered her, they went after them. And of course, she's as tough as they come. But the
Three brothers?
Yes, yeah. And, I shouldn't tell the story on her. Where she thought she should have a necessary part of her body that wasn't there.
Oh.
Remember, she'd only stand up on the potty. She would not sit down. She'd be saying, you know, she's looking for this, something's missing. Well, we had the theory that it should be as natural as possible, noticing the difference between each other. So they would stand right there and watch when a diaper was changed, and they're surprisingly innocent. All they want to do is their curiosity satisfied.
Absolutely. That's what kids are about, curiosity. That's parents who are bringing those shame and guilt
Right,
and
right.
other not necessarily feelings. So
Paul was very, very modest, very, and I'm being sincere about that. And the boys didn't swear that I know of, maybe among their friends, but they didn't. No, they didn't, not when they were younger. And even up until high school that I know of.
Well, that's essentially where everybody's trouble starts, is when they get from grade school into high school. But now it's probably earlier on, down into grade school, where they're getting into drugs and sex and all that rest of that stuff.
probably the generations changed. The kids are...
Paul
Our
had,
society is becoming advanced, but not necessarily the best,
No.
for the best.
Paul had girls calling him, you know, Paul. From that picture we have with the 3 little girls who would come in Seattle. Oh, Paul, come and play.
He still is that sweet.
Oh my gosh, he had the most beautiful smile, and he was just active. His brain was on fire. There's just so much to learn about the world.
Yeah, but David seems the same way, kind of.
David was, well, David came at a time when Walter and Paul were so busy, and that he'd wake up sooner than he should for his bottle, and I couldn't get to him. And he would cry himself to sleep. I couldn't get to him. So he was on the most wonderful schedule you ever saw. Every 3 hours you could set the clock by him. He was more laid back, except when it came to food. You had to fill him up. And in Seattle, I think we've told you this, when we finished dinner, Walter and I would sit for a while in the living room, and the boys would play. But not David. David climbed up to every place, and if there was anything left on the plate, David ate. David just, he grew so fast, he was so big. You know, starting out life at 10 pounds.
That's a big boy.
It's a big baby. And then the nurses came to me and said, he is the only baby in the nursery who finishes his bottle and then wants more. He would scream. He was so hungry and he grew so fast that he would scream. I had to mix his milk, his egg, and his cereal all together because, and fruit. He'd or he'd scream in between. That's a true story. My brother and mother and dad came to visit us in Vallejo, and David wasn't even walking yet. And my brother was so fascinated with how much he ate. He said, "I'm going to try and fill him up." He gave him graham crackers and fruit, and then we fed him his meal, and then more graham crackers and fruit, and I forget what else, other crackers. David just ate all of it. And then my brother was fascinated because David would crawl into a closet, fill his diaper, and then come out ready to be changed.
What a personality. So it's the funniest moment of David's life.
Oh, well, I guess he thought it was pretty wonderful in Seattle. That story we told you about the fire engine, remember that? We had a lovely, lovely house in Seattle. And David went into the bathroom and locked himself in the bathroom, turned the lock. He was maybe a year and a half, and I was saying, David, turn the latch, David, turn the latch. And he'd play with it, but he could not get it open. And I had to call the fire department because Walter was out at sea and I couldn't get it open.
Oh, Walter, you missed him.
No,
missed
Fascinated
fun
moments.
So the firemen came. One went on, climbed down the ladder because there was a window in the bathroom and got the window up. Another one came in, broke the lock on the door and went in. And Paul is standing with this huge fire engine with the blinking lights. You know, when the firemen, all these colors on them. Well, the next night, Paul tried to lock himself in the garage and in the bathroom, and he's calling out, "Call the fire engines! Call the fire engines!" David was probably the easiest child. Well, Anne was pretty easy too. David was he was calm. He was very calm. But you figured the third child, you know, they kind of have to take the things as they come and the attention as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And because the other two were into going all the time. Oh, and the time, in the winter time, when you were gone again in Seattle, and I was making breakfast, and I got a phone call, and I had set the eggs out because I was going to scramble them, and David had taken, he was in his high chair, and he had taken the eggs one at a time, a dozen eggs, and going, well, you know, it would look like fun. The yellow splattered all over. A whole dozen eggs.
Of course they do.
And there's nothing harder to clean up than 12 raw eggs. Yeah, he kind of took his, you know, let's see, what looks like would be fun. And they're innocent things when you think of them, because they don't know. It just once it splatters, of course, and we have more of those goodies too.
It makes funny noise. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you, Walter, missed that too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing I remember about in Seattle is sliding down the stairs all the time. from the second floor to the first
yes,
floor.
tell Anna about
Well,
that.
they just slid down, sit down on the top stairs, slide right down.
They would
Which
go-
one?
All three of them. They'd
On
go
the seat
down
of their pants.
to the seat of the and they went down on their stomachs too.
Well,
They
that
went
I
head
didn't
first.
remember.
Ka-thump, 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 ka-thump. They did this. They climbed to the top of the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
and they would try different ways to go down, slide down sideways. Do you remember, Wally, that wonderful boys' room we had in Seattle that had a blackboard,
Mm-hmm.
a blackboard on the wardrobe doors,
Sliding
closet
blackboard.
doors? Yes. They could draw. Paul John went out the window there. Their bedroom was on the first floor.
And faced the front of the house.
He would go out the window, and it was always raining in the wintertime.
mean
in Seattle.
outside?
Outside. He
Out
went
the window?
outside, and it wasn't. And they'd be playing together in the room. If they came and told me Paul's outside, then I knew Paul was outside. But I was trying. If they're playing together, I was trying to get something done, get laundry done, or whatever. There he'd be sitting outside, soaking wet. Or when I went to the exchange, and I had to take him with me. And I said, Walter, watch that. Little Walter, I just have to run in and get some aspirin. By the time I got out, little Walter said I couldn't stop him. Paul is sitting on a sprinkler. This is on the grounds of Mare Island, the naval base. Paul is sitting on this sprinkler, just so happy. Water squirting all over under him. He's soaking wet. It was, you could have blinked your eyes. I was just going such a little time. It's what Sheila's going through now, that you can't take your eyes off a certain type, but you can't leave them because they're so fast. Or you think they're asleep.
They are. Yeah, she told me a couple of stories about Tristan.
And going outside naked.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through that.
Which one? Which of the boys or girls?
Oh, I think I'm trying to remember. No, it was probably David. Paul and in Vallejo, California. Remember you came home?
Yeah.
Walter would go out to sea for, was it 3 weeks at a time?
No, training.
And then come
So
in.
you Walter was going between, that was Korea time? Or was that Korea time for you?
No, this was after Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And he was real tired. He came home and I said, I just want to go to the library. The children are all in bed. I said, fine, we'll go to the library. I went to the library, looked at the books, took my time, came home, and there's a policeman walking away from our house carrying Paul.
Paul.
I had Paul in his arms. Paul was 2. I'm trying to, Anna, He must have been about 2 or 3, because they asked him his name. He was walking in front of his PJs. He had gotten up. Walter had fallen asleep. He had gone down the stairs, gone outside, and was
That's what
paddling
he's
around.
about now. Aren't you, Walter?
Hmm?
Almost ready to sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
didn't get his
No,
nap this
I didn't
afternoon.
finish yet. I'm still have lots to record.
He should be talking more, although
I
he
don't
was away
remember
so
it.
much. He was away so much at the
Do
time.
remember.
No. Hmm.
And so the
Well,
police.
the police said, we asked him his name, and he said Frank, and he said we went around and asking people, is this yours, Frank? And they said no. So I came home just in time because they were going to take him back to the police station and see if somebody called, where their child was missing.
Oh, you stumbled accidentally on the cab.
I got out of the car, and there he was taking Paul to the police car. And his
Oh, of
arms.
course, Walter was sleeping,
He
so
was
he
trying to
didn't open.
sleep.
He didn't
He
open
didn't
the door.
even know. He didn't even know that Paul had gone.
That's right.
And that was David and
They were asleep.
and Walter.
They stayed. Well, but David was in his crib. He was
Oh, okay.
just
So he
about
was
a
there.
year old. I think so. Paul would only have been 2.
Okay.
And Paul talked very early, too. What's your name? Frank. Oh, the neighbors were just fascinated. They were just fascinated with him. He had the things. When we got to Seattle, and Mary Smiley had us stay with them, we had 6 children under 7. Under 6. And she was so nice. She took us in there because we didn't as yet have a place to stay because I had driven us
drove
to
up
Seattle.
Right.
And we didn't have any housing, so Mary Smiley took us in, the captain's wife. Oh, that was interesting. That was very interesting. She had been raised on a farm, and she was so wonderful with vegetables. She carried buckets of manure and fertilized all this ground, planted all these tomatoes. And where Paul's life was saved is she adored him. She thought he was the most wonderful little boy. Just before the tomatoes ripened, he went and picked every one of them.
Oh.
Every one of them. And he thought he was helping her. If you could have seen his little face, he wasn't doing anything mischievous. He saw her planting and taking care of them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
She said, he's the most fascinating boy I have ever seen. Well, she had one just like him whose name was Paul, but was a little younger, who took and stuffed beads up his nose, and she had to take him to the doctor. He got hold of a little screwdriver, and loosened the screws. And as on her car, on the inside of her car, and as she was driving, the windshield, everything fell off. So she figured, I guess boys come like this. Think back, Walter, we had such an interesting life, and the people that helped us.
So which part of your journey, the places you lived, were the most interesting, fascinating?
There wasn't one that wasn't interesting for one reason or another, really. Vallejo was the hardest one because the Navy had put up substandard housing on this base because the war was just over then, a few years. And so wives could come and have a little apartment to stay in just with their husbands before the husbands shipped out. And they were very, very small.
Okay.
David was a rocker, and we were on the 2nd floor, and he could move the crib, as much room as he had to move the crib, just by doing this. And you could almost run a metronome, the rhythmic. And I remember him moving that all over. David was not, he's as bright as any one of them, but he was just of a different personality. He was more calm, I guess. Must have taken more off after my family.
But David has that laid back.
He does, and he's so funny.
Yes, relax, yes.
And Paul and he together, they've always made me so laugh at the dinner table. So funny. And Walter's dry. Walter's very dry. And when they got to be too much, he would just take their heads, honestly, and go bing. And they wouldn't settle down. But any neighbors we had loved our children. They were polite. They were funny. They were friendly.
So Walter's the scientist type. Paul is the explorer type.
And the scientist. And he was very interested in
the
what
different type of
stick.
science, more active.
Yeah.
Walter is more like scholar, yes? Books, theory. Paul is the experimenter.
That's good. That's very good. Right. And David was not aggressive at all, and sometimes children took advantage of him. And if they ever bothered him, Walter and Paul would clean them up. If you know that term, they stuck up him because David was right. He was just easier going and.
So what was that? When and where was that about that nail in David's eye? The board with a nail?
He was hit with a bat, but I don't remember the nail. Do you?
No, I don't either.
There was some nail. Paul hit the guy with the stone.
The, I'm trying to remember what, David was hit. He said to Paul, I'm going to hit your brother, and Paul said, go ahead, see what happens. I don't think it because.
But David,
Paul,
and you ended up with David in the hospital.
I
Yes?
had to take him to the doctor to have it checked out. It did have, I guess it had to do with the eye, but Paul probably remembers better than I do. But David did get hit with a bat in Perry Circle. Remember the Davies boy? You know, they were playing. They were playing baseball.
Well, I don't remember.
I'm thinking when Walter and Paul were on the teeter-totter in the back on Perry Circle, and Paul jumped off, and Walter went up in the air.
I remember something like that
His
out
tooth.
in Hawaii.
No, that was in Perry Circle.
Then I don't
The
remember that.
tooth, it hit the tooth, and the doctor saved the tooth, but it was funny looking from then on, discolored.
Mm.
Really, the things probably Paul has told you some of these, hasn't he? These things that we've told you.
Let's say he said some, and through the years you told me some. So where was Anne at this time? How was she?
She was one who would wander off. 3 years old, she went down the street, little girl down the street in Hawaii, half a block away, at a dollhouse that Anne loved. So if I was changing little Andrew, she went out the door. And the mother, we finally got together, and she would call me, Anna's here, to go get her.
How Anne discovered that the other woman, the other house, how did she know?
How did she? Because we would go for walks and talk to
Okay.
people.
Okay.
And when you have children, my gosh, you get to know everybody. You know,
Mhm.
they talk and they become familiar to people. And yeah, I had to go for walks a lot with her because she wasn't afraid of anything. It's true from the brothers, and they would take care of her.
Mhm.
Gosh, we have the cutest picture of David with Martha. She was 2 years old. She had this pretty little ruffled hat on, a little jacket. They'd come home from school and they would take the girls out for walks.
Taking the plastic?
Why
Well,
me?
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
because you are the head. And she's busy with saying,
An
talking.
800 number out of area.
So what happened to Anne and David? The cutest picture?
Oh, you know, it was
No, that's
Martha.
Martha.
Mhm.
Martha.
The boys would take them for walks after school around. Perry Circle was a wonderful place to live. There were playmates for every one of them. They were all different ages. Oh, and the people were so wonderful. Oh, gosh. David did a lot of babysitting on Perry Circle.
For the youngest?
For, yeah, well, no, for neighbors.
Oh,
And there
okay.
was a Marine family who wanted to take him on trips with them. And he wouldn't go. He wouldn't go. He wouldn't leave us.
What?
I don't know. He didn't want to. He didn't want to leave us. And he was the one, we'd all go shopping. We'd all go shopping at the commissary. And they'd help push the carts and put things in the carts. This woman said to David, you have a big family. He must have been 8 years old. And he said, yes, but it's a lot of work for my mother. I mean, she came up and told me she was so impressed. And they all had to carry the
And how old
bags
was
in.
he?
Maybe 8, maybe not even that old.
Wow.
They all babysat. Walter and Paul and David babysat. And then Anne babysat here. And then Martha and Celia babysat here too.
The kids? The neighbors?
Mm-hmm.
Neighbor kids?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, young man, don't sleep yet. Remember, now you have a chance to remember these beautiful times.
I don't remember
At
anything.
least listen to them.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Tell Anna about taking the boys, was it rifle training?
I don't know.
Oh no, he's
Or learning
boycotting. Walter, are you boycotting?
Hmm?
Are you boycotting?
Am I what?
Boycotting.
Boycotting? No.
Yeah.
No. I just don't remember things like that Mary Ann's talking about.
Well, I spent so much more time with the children, you know, and especially when he was working or overseas.
That's for sure. Oh. I love to listen to all those history stuff.
That's wonderful that I would think this would bore the heck out of you. Because you love Paul, and that makes a difference.
I do love Paul. He's amazing. I do love your entire family.
Well, they sure love you, Anna.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. I want to hear about Martha and Cecilia. I'm sorry, Cecilia and Martha. 8 minutes difference.
Oh, Martha was a humdinger. Well, Celia was too. I remember this time my parents were visiting. They must have been about 2 years old, and I came back with new shampoo for them. And we had fish in the little aquarium. I went to use the shampoo and it was empty. I went to the aquarium and the fish are going. Cecilia had emptied the shampoo on the water so they couldn't get any air because she wanted them to be clean.
Oh, it's so thoughtful.
Well, yeah, if you stop and think about it, you know, sometimes you just want to go,
So much of love.
Martha, I would make bubble soap for them. And we were out in front of Perry Circle. The girls were 3 or 4. Philip was in a stroller. And they had used up all the soap blowing bubbles. And I said, all right, now let's stay with Philip. I'm going to run in real quick and I'll make some more. And as I walked out, I heard the siren of the fire engine, and I was just afraid. Martha had taken the tricycle over to the fire alarm, climbed up on the fire alarm.
No, climbed up on the tricycle.
On the tricycle, and to reach the fire alarm and turned it on. However, I don't remember how you did it. You opened up something. And
But you had to
pulled
break
on the
the-
handle.
break the-
No,
Pulled
you just
on the
pulled
handle.
on the handle.
She didn't break anything. She just,
Okay.
and I knew. And there were the fire engines. The neighbors are out. And I had to go and tell them that she did it. She didn't mean to, I don't think. And the captain came and said to her, "You don't ever, in this deep voice, ever do that again." And she was just, her eyes were like this. And off they went. And as I said to the neighbors, you know, we're very fortunate. We know that some fire starts and you notify them they're here real fast. Oh, I just wanted
But the kids around, they had so much fun to see the fire engines.
Well,
That was
yeah, I didn't, well, probably their parents told me, you ever touch that? No. The lady, I'm sure I told you, the lady upstairs, because I was in tears. She said,
Happy tears.
no, sad tears. Oh, sad. I mean, all these people come out. Two fire engines, not just one. 2 of them came tearing up. They're all ready. They have their helmets on. You know, they're about ready to grab the hoses. She said, listen, Miriam, my son took the our hose, and went to a neighbor's house. The door was open. Put the hose in the front room and turned it on. And she said, I know what you're feeling. Oh, Cecilia and the little boy upstairs on Perry Circle. He had a little sister, and the little boy was, I guess they were 4 years old, Cecilia and he, and they were good buddies. And the mother came home, and then she came down, and they were playing. They were upstairs. She had, I'm trying to think where she had gone, or she had just gone to the bathroom. But they had taken a little girl and had cut. It was this long on top. She had long hair. They had left that much. And she said when she found him, Cecilia had manicure scissors and was cutting this little girl's eyelashes. Oh, I mean, we both like, oh, there's angels around. Oh. Or Paul when he brought angels around. Oh. Or Paul when he brought home that snapping turtle.
How big?
Paul must have been 13, maybe 12.
How big was it?
It was big. It was big. And I said, that is not coming in the house. So we found a bucket, and he put it in a bucket and put it in the front hall. I said, it's not.
Like a big laundry tub.
Yeah. And of course, there were 6 apartments in this building. And the guy upstairs came home drunk. And he walks in, and the sink goes after him. So he climbed right out. And his wife said, I think he stopped drinking. This is, oh my God. If you could have seen the size of this, Paul was always bringing stray animals home. And I was always calling what was it I called? What you feed them or well, no. What you do with how you feed them and how you keep them. Because they would be horny toads, thrushes, squirrels, babies. What do we do with them? Because that's the way he was. His heart was so good. And in came these strange things, but that snake. And when my parents came to visit us, the snake had gotten loose in the house. Only I think he told you about it. I guess it was because the same snake that got on the principal's desk at school. He was into all of that. He wasn't afraid of any of it. He was the one, remember, he would try candied ants, real strange food. These tins you get with candied flies and peppermint, whatever. He would try all that. He would eat flowers. You'd see him walking eating flowers. In Hawaii, it was hibiscus. Pink hibiscus, yeah.
You know how wise he is? He was back then?
He was, as a psychologist said who tested him, he's in the top of the top 1% of the country. Intelligence and interests. But to some teachers who are threatened by someone like him, because he probably knows, well, this is what the psychologist said, he knows more than the teacher does.
That's it. That's why the kids are bored with the school and they
bored is exactly right.
Don't want to do the 5 grades or 7 grades behind what they are, or I mean the program they are way ahead. So yes.
And if you don't, and I can't say that Walter and I truly understood at the time we were going through it, how really smart he was, and how interested he was in everything, and what somebody else might say was naughty, wasn't naughty to him. Even with the chemicals, where he injured his hand, but he would push things as far as he could go as to what they could do, He might have made a good doctor, as I think of it. He was so unusual. And Anne McCabe, this interesting friend of ours, who also was very, very bright, a Navy wife, she was fascinated with our boys. All 3 of them. Yeah. The drawings, Walter did with either Walter or I showing him. On that blackboard we had in Seattle, he was 3, I think, when we moved in there. He did the whole alphabet, not in order, but he did all the letters. Just from seeing them, we read a lot whenever Walter was home too. We always read to the boys. And from early on,
how
we went to
old
the
was
library.
Walter by then?
We got to Seattle well, you've got to help me here.
All right, hey, go get the history book that I wrote.
I don't know where it is. I've got it up. I've got it up there. I've got it up
No,
there.
you don't.
You've got it?
Yes.
Well, then go get it. She would like to have, Anna would like to have this on tape.
Well, you're going to read from it? Is that it? I keep
Walter
asking you to
Steiner,
sit
yes.
down and
I
go
know.
through it, but you never do.
Well, there will be first time when she will.
No.
I told him I forgot. I know, I have forgotten things.
You doing all right tonight?
Well, it's funny how things, association, I guess it's called.
Have another glass of wine. That'll recall the memory.
Oh, is that it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Complain.
Who, me?
No, not you.
When Walter was out at sea in Vallejo, Paul was too, I think. And it got really, really hot there. It was 104. And he was playing at a neighbor's in their little outdoor little pool, kiddies pool. And that evening he had blisters on his shoulders. He had a first-degree burn on his shoulders. The blisters were up like that. I had never seen anything like it. His skin, Paul has very sensitive skin.
Mm-hmm.
And my neighbor who was a nurse said, call the hospital and talk to them there. And she told me to take Dial soap and gently wash it. Don't break the blisters or anything because they will just gently wash it, which I did. And my gosh, he could have been so sick with, what is that, Anna, where there's too much sun.
So, sun poisoning?
Yeah, Well, just the way he toilet trained himself. At 2.
Paul?
Paul, he was naked. It was real hot. And he was disappearing all the time. And he was going to the bathroom. That's where he went. And from then on, he never wet his pants. He never wet the bed. I just put him in big boy pants. He did it. I think people don't believe me, but that's the way it happened. Cecilia at 3, and none of our children did this, was able to tie shoelaces. It's one of the hardest things that a child can do. She tied her shoelaces. She taught herself.
Okay.
I thought I had it.
No, I told you you didn't.
Yeah, after I said.
What made you think you had it? I don't think you've ever read this.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
When?
When you first did it, and the second time after that. Because you bring it out and say, Mary Ann, you've got to do something about that.
And you haven't.
No, I haven't, because it's harder for me to remember. These things just happen to be coming back.
But you was saying about Cecilia, that she learned her shoelaces.
She taught herself how to do shoelaces, how to tie them. And she's the only one of all the children who has done that. Wow.
Is it enough light in here?
Hmm?
Is it enough light for Marianne to read?
Ask her.
What?
Marianne, do you have enough light?
Oh, yes. Oh, I do. Yes.
So what's the story? Tell me.
What, darling?
What's the story?
Well, it starts with, because Walter has done this, and it's so well done. Did you do this forward? You composed that, didn't you? As we have gotten older,
Yes,
we
skip over
really
that.
did develop some
Go
questions.
back to where the children are starting to be born. Which is what Anna's looking for, is things about the children.
Oh, well, I'm looking for everything about you guys. When you were
Everything? Oh,
dating
come on.
as well.
Jeez.
Yeah, the fun stuff.
You don't have enough electronics there.
Oh, I do. I got the whole pack. And as long as you will supply City, I'm fine. 6 hours.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope. I wouldn't. Come on, I'm a serious person. You know that.
Paul will come looking for you.
He kind of sort of knows that I'll be
Kind of,
late.
sort of.
That I'll be late home.
Oh, he doesn't know you're here, though.
Kind of sort of.
Keep him guessing.
Oh.
Kind of sort of.
Ed,
So how much fun did you have?
lots of fun.
Cool. With all the kids. Look how long your family history is. Marianne is going through that and... Yes. say? Where are you going?
Look at this, 1951. On the 19th of February, the new bride and groom started driving to Boston, where his ship, the Des Moines, was undergoing overhaul. Several overnight stops were made along the way. The night of February 19th was spent in Perrysburg, Ohio, at the Fort Meigs Motel in room number 4 at a cost of $5. The night of 21 February was spent at Tracy's Tourist Court in Springfield, Massachusetts in cabin 18. Cost for the night $5. The newly married couple arrived in Boston on February 22nd and spent 2 nights in the Hotel Statler, Boston, while the groom picked up his orders to the Damage Control School in Philadelphia. Cost for the 3-day stay was $30.12.
Oh, you overpaid. And we are talking about 51?
This was 51, 1951. The
That
newlyweds.
was the top of the line hotel there in Boston.
Well, yeah, listen to this one, the Bellevue Stratford. We spent one night there in Philadelphia before moving into a furnished apartment at Atlantic Avenue. The cost for one night in the Bellevue was $10.11. $11 was the cost of a telephone call.
And I got the documentation to prove it.
You see that?
Yeah, Mary Ann saved all that.
Oh, amazing. Oh my gosh.
Walter Wysocki, Donald Wysocki, was born in 1300, which is
1 o'clock in
1
the
o'clock.
in the
afternoon.
afternoon on 3 December in the Henrotin Hospital in Chicago. He weighed in at 10 pounds. On the birth certificate, the child's birth number is MAW's 7-day stay in the hospital cost $162.25.
That's, nowadays, that's cheap.
Yeah, when we had them in the service hospitals, it was like about $2.87. You paid for the food that you ate.
That's all in there.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, he was, this is in Philadelphia. The new bride called home to mother in Chicago to find out how to cook certain foods. Food was not set on the table, but MAW would fill WJW's plate to overflowing. He put on at least 10 pounds during the 6 weeks of training.
Oh.
Yeah, and it would be dropping off the plates, and he didn't want to hurt my feelings, so he would eat everything. And that was a big plate. Oh, just, I didn't know how to cook.
But by then she wasn't a new. How long did you call her a new bride?
How long they call her a new
New
bride?
bride is newly wed. For the first year?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, we were married in February, and in September he left for Korea.
Oh. And that you was pregnant, yes?
Mm-hmm.
That's in there.
Let's see. Oh, well, that was when little Walter was born, and you came home when he was 13 months old.
Yeah.
And then Paul John Wysocki was born on the 22nd of September at St. Luke's Hospital in Davenport. MAW was in room 553, and her 5-day hospital stay cost $102.50. It was a lot for us at that time. There
You
was
had to
not a
pay that
service
much.
hospital there,
Really?
because, and the reason in Chicago it cost so much was that it would have meant driving to the Great Lakes Military Hospital in December, and around Chicago you have snow and ice at that time.
Yeah.
So we decided not to do that. Paul was baptized at Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Bettendorf, Iowa, on October 18th. Father Coleman officiated, and Paul and Mary General were Paul's, well, they were his
Godparents.
godparents. Recollections about diapering and bathing the first on the aluminum home we lived in, traveling to various manufacturing plants, taking in frozen diapers and other clothing in snow up to the waist, and falling asleep in a rocker with Paul John in my lap. We bought a 1952 Mercury 2-door coupe, light blue top and black body.
Do you remember that car, Marianne?
Yeah, we took it to Hawaii.
Yeah, when we went to Monterey, well, this was 19, 54, on the 3rd of March, W.J. was relieved as the Ames met Davenport, Iowa by Lieutenant Commander Sayers. Our orders were to report for instruction in the General Line School, Monterey, California. We drove to Chicago, Illinois, and Cleveland, Tennessee to visit grandparents before heading out to the West Coast. M.A.W., Walter and Paul stayed with Grandma and Grandpa Ramsey in Cleveland, Tennessee, while W.J.W. drove to Monterey.
Right.
It's confusing. M.A.W.
Okay, I'll say Mary Ann and
W.J.W.
Yeah.
Oh, that it has full name. It's or Walter just.
M.A.W. is Mary Ann Weissach. W.J.W. is me.
I'm sorry.
No. It's just like I wonder if that was you wrote that M.A.W.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of spelling it out all the time, it's abbreviated.
Don't you have that memory, that quick type thing on your computer?
I don't know.
Hey.
All I know is I've got Word, and that works.
Oh, look at her face.
Shirley Milka, that's right. Oh, from the 4th of October. Oh, yeah, Treasure Island. And that's when you came home. You said, I'll get up with David and take care of him. That was it. He said, because he was gone. And the woman across the way, Shirley, the Army wife, helped me so much during that time. And David was just about a month old when you came home. No, October.
I don't
He was
know.
a month old. And Walter said, you sleep and I'll get up and I'll feed him. Well, I woke up. He's tied asleep in the rocking chair. David is draped over his lap, tied asleep with his head between the first snapper and the second snapper of his
That
little
was
nightgown.
in Bettendorf, and Paul was the one in my lap. I didn't do it with David.
No, you came from Treasure Island, Wally. What's right here? Wally, it's right here. It's right here. Oh, let's see. Oh, listen to this. On the drive out to Monterey, this is while he was driving by himself. While traveling in the Texas desert country, Walter, in quotes, put the pedal to the metal in the Mercury and got up to 120 miles per hour, the fastest he's ever been in a car. Recollections about cleaning up Paul John's crib and the area around it while Mary Ann was in the hospital with David. That's the one with the mural with the...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Little League Baseball. Paul chasing butterflies in the outfield. Paul was on the out... What was he? A third baseman or something?
No, outfield, left fielder.
And he was looking around at everything in the sky but the baseball. The bugs. And chasing the butterflies. Okay, here we go to 1955. You were detached from duty at the postgraduate school and to the Fleet Training Center in San Diego for temporary duty in connection, with pre-commissioning training.
Yeah.
On June 20th, Walter arrived at the Mare Island Naval Shipyard in Vallejo, California for duty as prospective executive officer of the USS Falcon when she was placed into commission. We moved from Monterey, California on 25 June and we traveled to Mare Island in our Mercury. We moved into temporary quarters across the street from the shipyard. Then the ship was commissioned and we loaded up the Mercury and moved to Seattle, Washington. The family stayed with this commanding officer, his wife and family, until Mary Ann located a place to rent. We eventually moved into a two-story home at East 140th Street.
Okay.
Family, Mary Ann,
Seattle.
Walter, and David, lived in World War H barracks type buildings that had been converted into apartments for temporary duty personnel. We lived on the second floor. One evening, Paul escaped down the stairs and roamed free in the area, telling people that his name was Frank. Anne Francis was born at 5:15 a.m. Saturday, 10 November at the U.S. Army Hospital, Fort Lawton, Seattle, Washington. She weighed 8 pounds, 10 1/2 ounces, and was 22 inches long. Mary Ann's 3 days in the hospital cost $5.25.
Wow! The
That's
later in the years, the
Army
cheaper.
hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, she started to come. I was supposed to go in to be he was going to
I was out of sea.
rupture my
Okay.
membranes, and he said, "Oh, you're dilated 5 already, and you dilate 10
Mhm.
when you're ready to deliver." And he said, I don't think you'll make it to the hospital." He said, "I want you in on Saturday morning." This was Thursday. "I want you in so we can induce labor and be sure everything's all right." So he was called out because that was the Suez Canal crisis. He called and he said, "Pack up all my stuff. I can't tell you, but I'm coming home to pick it all up." And out he went. It was a week before she was born. It was 3 or 4 days. And I called my mother, who said she would come out by train, but I mean she would be there in time. And then I called your mother, and she said, "I'll fly out and be there." And Mary Smiley and I drove to the airport. And what was in between the
SeaTac.
No, the airport.
SeaTac.
Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah,
Tacoma,
between
Washington.
Seattle and Tacoma, it's called a SeaTac Airport.
Okay, we picked up your mother, drove back, and picked up some boots for the kids because it was supposed to snow. And I stayed up ironing till 2 a.m. So everything was all straightened up for her. Everybody was in bed. And my pain started at 1 minute apart. And I thought, this has got to be false labor. So I still went on ironing. And I'm going, Your mother came down and she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "They're a minute apart. This can't be." She said, because the man next door said, "I'll drive you to the hospital." She said, "You get on the phone and you call him." So his wife came over, stayed with Walter, Paul, and David, and your mom and the man next door, I can't remember his name, drove me to the hospital. And as we got to the gates of the military hospital, he said, "She's having a baby." And we flew right in because she started to come on the way. And the nurse had told us, anytime that happens, pant, because you can stop it.
Mhm.
And I just got there in time for her to be born. Oh, and your mother had instructions that I was not to drive myself to the hospital. Do not let her drive herself.
Oh.
Another
She wanted
wife
to
did.
drive.
I don't think I would have been able to. I really don't with the way they were coming.
Mhm.
But she just came. It was so easy. They gave me a local, and he said that it didn't even take. And she was born.
Wow.
Okay. Anna, they laid her next to me, and she had these big blue eyes, and it was like she knew. She just lay there, and she looked around the room, she turned her head, and this is newborn, and it was so wonderful. She was born at 5-something, and at 7 o'clock I was up going to the bathroom, and I felt, because the birth was so easy, the doctor came in the next morning and he said to me, I'm lying in bed, he said, "What are you doing here?" He was the one who was going to induce labor. He said, "I've had the baby already." "Sorry, you made a mistake, buddy." Oh, no, I didn't say buddy.
Well, wasn't you elated like having a girl, first girl?
The first girl, yeah, because the doctor told me that David was going to be a little baby girl. And then listen to this. This is... Oh, Walter did have an opportunity to go to San Diego as flag lieutenant on this is Commander Destroyer Pacific staff. Our squadron commander suggested that this might be better duty career-wise. Big frog in a small puddle as compared to a small frog in a big pond. However, we couldn't pass up Hawaii. Fixing a flat tire after a picnic lunch on the Olympic Peninsula, running out of gas on Route 1, getting a lift to and from the gas station in the next town after making arrangements for a motel room. The first and only time we had a flat tire on the road or ran out of gas out of all the road miles that we've traveled.
I want to hear about that flat tire and running out of gas. So how did it happen? What was it?
Pardon?
How did it happen?
How did it happen? Beats
Yeah.
me. We pulled in, had a picnic lunch, and went back up to the car after lunch, and there the tires flat. Don't know. Must have been a nail that picked up parking or whatever.
And you running out of gas?
Yeah. That was my fault.
Walter, don't you think everything's fine? It's fine. Oh dear.
That was the only time in all the miles.
We came close to it a couple other times.
Oh,
And the kids were in the car as well?
hmm?
The kids were in the car as well? Or
Oh,
yours too?
yes, Anne was only 6 months old.
I started hitchhiking down the road after we ran
Yes.
out of gas, and guy picked me up, and the rest of the family stayed in the car.
We're sitting at the side of the road.
In California or
No,
some
No,
of
this
the
was in
Seattle?
Washington,
Yeah,
It's still warm.
State.
on the Olympic Peninsula.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But there we were. Thank goodness I had packed a big lunch. And we sat and waited for him. Oh, the children were good, except Paul, I think, who was trying to climb the trees.
And I was fortunate, the guy that picked me up drove to the next town, got the gas, made a reservation at the motel, which is, I think, behind the gas station, and he brought me back to the car.
Oh, that's
Same
nice.
guy.
Wasn't that nice?
That's nice.
That was very nice.
That's really nice.
Listen, on 22nd of August, what year was that? 22nd of August, 1959. We paid $17.20 for Paul John's tuition and books in grade 1 of the Holy Family School, Honolulu, Hawaii. However, Paul was in grade 1 of the Briar Patch School in La Mesa, California on 4th of December. We embarked on the SS Matsonia at 4 o'clock for the trip to San Francisco. Our Mercury was on the ship with us. We arrived in San Francisco at 1100 on 31 October. That's right, Halloween. We went to visit the Dailies. We loaded up our car on the pier in San Francisco and took off driving for San Diego. We traveled as far south as San Bruno and decided that things were just too crowded. So we stopped at a VW dealer and bought a VW station wagon for the rest of the trip to San Diego.
Are you kidding me? Just like that.
Yeah.
In spot.
Paid cash.
We stopped in Santa Barbara to get the 500-mile checkup and continued on driving to San Diego, arriving in San Diego at 500 on 2 November. We checked into a motel with quick cooking privileges and proceeded to look for a house to buy. After I don't know how many days, we decided on a pretty little 1,300 square foot 3-bedroom, 2-bath place at 6275 Swalero Drive, La Mesa. WJW left the family, or Walter left the family, took off from San Diego at 2 o'clock on 20 November, arriving in San Francisco at 4 o'clock. He awaited further transportation in San Francisco until 9 a.m. on the 25th. They then flew Walter to Honolulu, Hawaii. He arrived there at 5:30 on the 25th and spent until 3 a.m. on 26 November. Government air got him to Itazuki, Japan. Then he reported on board the USS Gregory, the division flagship, at 2 o'clock on 1 December, for duty on the staff of Destroyer Squadron 17. He relieved the Chief of Staff. His first squadron commander was Captain Riefenrath. That's the one you like so much. Recollections about flying back to the States on the Admiral's plane to house hunt with the admonition to find a home with some trees around it, spreading 18 cubic yards of topsoil, planting grass seed and shrubs, and admonishing Mary Ann to keep the seed damp before flying out to Japan. His letters, his romantic letters were, have you watered the grass seed? Have you kept the grass growing?
Did you have to send him pictures how the grass is growing?
No.
It did pretty well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it did okay.
Yeah.
And when I used to get really, really crazy with the children, we were out. Yeah, little Walter would watch the children. Well, I was cutting. We didn't have that big a lot to cut, but
No, just the front, the little front.
yeah. When we go to San Diego, the next time I wanted to look up Doris and Frank.
Yeah.
Anyway, David Lawrence.
What was he up to?
That's some of those movies we've got there, all of this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
Oh, have you seen
love
any
this.
of them? I've always
Yeah,
wanted to
we-
show
Yes,
them
the-
too.
Yeah, when we were out there the last time, we showed
Yes.
movies.
For Walter's birthday.
Right,
You see?
right.
Mother's Day, not
That was
Mother's Day.
We need
Oh,
to.
oops.
Oops.
But they were amazing. I enjoyed them so much.
Yeah, I've still got those that I gotta put together.
You better do it. Come on. You're wasting your time.
Yes, you're right.
I can trace.
I want to watch them.
Yeah, because I want to get them all on CDs. The movies down to CDs
Mhm.
and give them to everybody.
So, that wonderful idea. Hey, Maria.
And this thing here, Marianne should go through and add her stuff to it and then get it on a CD and give it to all the kids.
Well, I'll be able to follow these dates and ages from here.
But you have so much of editorial stuff, just, oh, here, what happened, in between lines.
In between the lines. That's the best part of it, in between the lines.
When we traveled cross country, it was wonderful because let's see, Anne was 5. Yeah, because she went to kindergarten then in La Mesa, California, when she started school.
Yeah, she did.
Uh-huh.
So what's the difference between Walter and Anne?
Walter was born in 51, Anne was born in 56.
Okay, so 5 years.
He was born at the, well, yeah, he was born in December of 51 and she was born in November of 56. And Andrew was born in 59 in Hawaii,
At what month?
May.
Okay. Oh, that's the first kid, which is like in the first half of the year, yes? Andrew
first-
was the first kid which was born on the first half of the first 6 months. Because Anne is November,
yes, I
Paul is
hadn't even thought
September,
of that.
David is October, Walter is
Yes.
December, yes?
I hadn't even thought. That's absolutely
What?
right. Andrew was the first one born the first 6 months of the year. The rest were born
Yeah.
in the latter
He was
part.
born what, the day
May.
before my birthday, or
He was born May 10th.
it's in there?
May 10th.
It's in there.
Yeah, but I know he was born May 10th.
Oh, okay, all right.
Come on, yes, they don't
And
remember.
Anne was born November 10th.
Mhm.
Cecilia and Martha were born on March 1st in the Naval Hospital in Annapolis, Maryland. Mary Ann's hospital stay cost $7, and that was twins.
Whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool.
They were, according to the dates, of course, they were born 2 weeks early. The doctor said, when you're carrying twins, or multiple, possibly multiple births, as you get bigger, you have to get off your feet, you have to stay in bed, because it's the extra weight. And the way, and when you're standing, that can make the babies be born earlier.
And of course
They
you
were due March
did.
17th. Well, yeah, when they found out that I was carrying twins, because they always thought I was carrying twins. And I would just say, okay, we'll humor them. And the doctors at the Navy hospital here heard 2 heartbeats, and I didn't even believe that. And then, remember, we had to wait a weekend, this was a Friday, they heard the 2 heartbeats. And they had taken x-rays, and they said, we'll let you know next week. And we weren't at all,
X-rays.
it's not, well, yeah, we're very fortunate too with the children, because each time they thought it was twins, they did x-rays. They don't do that now. But they called and said, you're expecting twins, and you are to get into bed and not get out of bed except to go to the bathroom.
All I remember about that is I finished bowling that night, started driving into the garage. She leans out the window and says, "Don't pull the car in. I'm ready to go to the hospital."
Oh, that night?
Yeah, to have and we couldn't wake little Walter up. He was so tight asleep. We couldn't get him awake. We had to leave because I thought one of the baby's foot was coming through. And the doctor said, we just get right in here. But what it was is the membranes were going to rupture, and they were pushing.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't take too long. I'm trying to remember what time we got to the
Yeah, I don't
hospital.
remember either.
That was about 10 o'clock you got home. And they were born at 3:30, 3:23 and
It's in there.
3:31. Yeah. I know. Oh, no, I don't
Yes.
want you to drive with.
I'm still fine, thank you. I do enjoy the wine.
I'll force myself to empty this and drink it all. I'll give you the cork from this if you think Paul might like this.
Probably he will. It's really delicious.
I have watermelon for dessert. Would you like a big slice of watermelon?
No, thank you. I'm enjoying your company.
You are so wonderful that you aren't bored, buddy. Gosh. I can't remember their names. She had 8 children, and he had 9.
Oh, cheaper by the dozen.
Cheaper by the dozen. No, that wasn't cheaper by the dozen. Yeah, he was in the Navy. In fact, I had always wanted to save the ID card of mine that he had signed. He was on duty at Monterey. It was a chief, I think. They ended up with 20 children between them. He was a widower, and she was a widow. And they made a movie. Henry Fonda played the father, and Lucille Ball played the mother. If I can get it, it's pretty fascinating how they arranged things and how the children got along. Setting the table, clearing the table, carrying out the trash. What else did they had to put?
So everyone has own chores.
And it changed, and then Walter had put pegs in it so their jobs would change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were sweet boys. They were really sweet boys.
So what was that Paul and shooting some rackets in the house in Paris Circle?
What did he do?
What did he do? Well, I heard he was like into the rackets, that shooting thing.
Rockets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, he
for a
was.
little bit down there in Perry Circle, over Perry Circle.
He was very interested in the skies too. Was what goes on in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
What else? He
Fishing.
loved fishing and crabbing. That has stayed with him, hasn't it?
It does. It did. What was David up to? And Walter
Yes.
at that time? What were they?
When you think, and that paper route that he had, it was Walter, or was it just David and Paul who had it in the academy? And we had the heaviest snowfall that I think we have ever had since we have lived here. And they had to deliver to the academy, and we made them go out in that snow with a sled pulling their papers. If you have a paper route, you deliver the papers. And they plodded through that.
David and Paul?
Ask Paul about that, what he remembers about his paper route. But he saved the money and bought this little John boat that Walter was talking about. It was stolen twice on him. I think the last time. He got it back one time, and then the second time.
He didn't say anything about John boat.
It's a square. It's really. You know about John boats?
I know some about John boats.
Well, yeah. And what is the name of your company?
Inflatable experts. Maritime Solutions now. Yeah, we deal with the boats. We deal with the dinghies, but not John boat.
Yeah, no John.
I'm fine. 6 hours.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yep. I wouldn't. Come on, I'm a serious person. You know that.
Paul will come looking for you.
He kind of sort of knows that I'll be late.
Sort of.
That I'll be late home.
Oh, he doesn't know you're here, though.
Kind of sort of.
Keep him guessing.
Kind of sort of.
Ed?
So how much fun did you have?
Lots of fun.
Cool. With all the kids. Look how long your family history is. Marianne is going through that and... You stay. Where are you going?
Look at this, 1951. On the 19th of February, the new bride and groom started driving to Boston, where his ship, the Des Moines, was undergoing overhaul. Several overnight stops were made along the way. The night of February 19th was spent in Perrysburg, Ohio, at the Fort Meigs Motel in room number 4 at a cost of $5. The night of 21 February was spent at Tracy's Tourist Court in Springfield, Massachusetts in cabin 18. Cost for the night $5. The newly married couple arrived in Boston on February 22nd and spent 2 nights in the Hotel Statler, Boston, while the groom picked up his orders to the Damage Control School in Philadelphia. Cost for the 3-day stay was $30.12.
Oh, you overpaid. And we are talking about 51?
This was 51, 1951. The newlyweds...
That was the top of the line hotel there in Boston.
Well, yeah, listen to this one, the Bellevue Stratford. We spent one night there in Philadelphia before moving into a furnished apartment at Atlantic Avenue. The cost for one night in the Bellevue was $10.11. $11 was the cost of a telephone call.
And I got the documentation to prove it.
You said that?
Yeah, Marianne saved all that.
Oh, amazing. Oh my gosh.
Walter Wysocki, Donald Wysocki, was born in 1300, which is
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
On 3 December in the Henrotin Hospital in Chicago. He weighed in at 10 pounds. On the birth certificate, the child's birth number is MAW's 7-day stay in the hospital cost $162.25.
That's, nowadays, that's cheap.
Yeah, when we had them in the service hospitals, it was like about $2.87. You paid for the food that you ate.
That's all in there.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, he was, this is in Philadelphia. The new bride called home to mother in Chicago to find out how to cook certain foods. Food was not set on the table, but MAW would fill WJW's plate to overflowing. He put on at least 10 pounds during the 6 weeks of training.
Oh.
Yeah, and it would be dropping off the plates, and he didn't want to hurt my feelings, so he would eat everything. And that was a big plate. Oh, just, I didn't know how to cook.
But by then she wasn't a new. How long did you call her a new bride?
How long they call her a new
New
bride?
bride, yes, a newly wed. For the first year?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, we were married in February, and in September he left for Korea.
Oh, and then you was pregnant, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's
you
in there.
had-
Let's see. Oh, well, that was when little Walter was born, and you came home and he was 13 months old.
Yeah.
And then Paul John Wysocki was born on the 22nd of September at St. Luke's Hospital in Davenport. MAW was in room 553, and her 5-day hospital stay cost $102.50. It was a lot for us at that time. There
You
was
had to
not a
pay that
service
towards-
hospital there.
Really?
Because, and the reason in Chicago it cost so much was that it would have meant driving to the Great Lakes Military Hospital in December. And around Chicago you have snow and ice at that time.
Yeah.
So we decided not to do that. Paul was baptized at Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Bettendorf, Iowa, on October 18th. Father Coleman officiated, and Mary General were Paul's, well, they were his
Godparents.
godparents. Recollections about diapering and bathing the first son, the aluminum home we lived in, traveling to various manufacturing plants, taking in frozen diapers and other clothing in snow up to the waist, and falling asleep in a rocker with Paul John in my lap. We bought a 1952 Mercury 2-door coupe, light blue top and black body.
Do you remember that car, Marianne?
Yeah, we took it to Hawaii.
Yeah, when we went to Monterey, well, this was 1954, on the 3rd of March, W.J. was relieved as the Ames met Davenport, Iowa, by Lieutenant Commander Sayers. Our orders were to report for instruction in the General Line School, Monterey, California. We drove to Chicago, Illinois, and Cleveland, Tennessee to visit grandparents before heading out to the West Coast. M.A.W., Walter and Paul stayed with Grandma and Grandpa Ramsey in Cleveland, Tennessee, while W.J.W. drove to Monterey.
Right.
It's confusing. M.A.W.
Okay, I'll say Marianne and
W.J.W.
Yeah.
Oh, that it has full name. It's or Walter just.
M.A.W. is Marianne Wysocki. W.J.W. is me.
I'm sorry.
No. It's just like I wonder if that was you wrote that. M.A.W.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of spelling it out all the time, it's abbreviated.
Don't you have that memory, that quick type thing on your computer?
I don't know.
Hey.
All I know is I've got Word, and that works.
Oh, look at her face.
Shirley Milka, that's right. Oh, from the 4th of October. Oh, yeah, Treasure Island. And that's when you came home, you said, I'll get up with David and take care of him. That was it. He said, because he was gone, and the woman across the way, Shirley, the Army wife, helped me so much during that time. And David was just about a month old when you came home? No, October. He was a month old. And Walter said, you sleep and I'll get up and I'll feed him. Well, I woke up. He's tied asleep in the rocking chair. David is draped over his lap, tied asleep with his head between the first snapper and the second snapper of his
That
little
was
nightgown.
in Bettendorf, and Paul was the one in my lap. I didn't do it with David.
No, you came from Treasure Island, Wally. What's right here? Wally, it's right here. It's right here. Oh, let's see. Oh, listen to this. On the drive out to Monterey, this is while he was driving by himself. While traveling in the Texas desert country, Walter, in quotes, put the pedal to the metal in the Mercury and got up to 120 miles per hour, the fastest he's ever been in a car. Recollections about cleaning up Paul John's crib and the area around it while Mary Ann was in the hospital with David. That's the one, but the mural with them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Little League Baseball. Paul chasing butterflies in the outfield. Paul was on the what was he, a third baseman or something?
No, outfield, left fielder.
And he was looking around at everything in the sky but the baseball. The bugs, and chasing the butterflies. Okay, here we go to 1955. You were detached from duty at the postgraduate school and to the Fleet Training Center in San Diego for temporary duty in connection, with pre-commissioning training.
Yeah.
On June 20th, Walter arrived at the Mare Island Naval Shipyard in Vallejo, California for duty as prospective executive officer of the USS Falcon when she was placed into commission. We moved from Monterey, California on 25 June and we traveled to Mare Island in our Mercury. We moved into temporary quarters across the street from the shipyard. Then the ship was commissioned and we loaded up the Mercury and moved to Seattle, Washington. The family stayed with this commanding officer, his wife and family, until Mary Ann located a place to rent. We eventually moved into a two-story home at East 140th Street.
No, you don't have to smile. You don't have to smile. You are pretty enough. No, I'm not recording. Do you see the red light?
I know.
Do you see the red light? No, no red light. Oh my gosh. Kate, your eyes are beautiful. So what are you going to do? You're not waiting for the dinner?
Yeah, you have a chopstick in your head, you know that? Yeah, I have a huge science test.
What?
Science test.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Come on, you are just a week away from the school. I mean, a week in the school. You already has a
It's my
sign.
4th week.
He's our ITT person. He volunteers this time. So, you know. Good
No,
for him.
I'm not recording, Carol.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
I know you're not doing anything. He
She's just
doesn't.
testing the camera.
Right. He doesn't care that we call him and I'll say, Paul, the screen is black. And he'll say, Judy, look for the on button. he never yells.
He doesn't yell. See, that was good. That's good. You're lucky.
And I would start there, and then as a good worker, be like, yeah, I'm looking to Utah, maybe New Mexico.
I love New Mexico.
I love Anna. I love Paul's taste in women, don't you?
Oh, it's good taste.
What's this? Whoa,
Makes
what?
pretty babies and finds nice places to live and drives us all crazy, and we still love him.
Of course we do. Marta, would you take lots of pictures from California?
Yes.
In California?
Yeah, so see, the thing is, Jenna's taken 2 photography, well, not photography, one's photography and one is some kind of media class. And she needs both the cameras, so I'm going to have to get a stinking disposable to go to California, but that's okay.
I can let you mine. Take mine, it takes lots of pictures.
Yeah, Jenna would say, well, Mom, look, you take that one and I'll hold on to ours.
No, mine is, mine is already crappy. It should be all okay. You can. Did you walk in the spider web? No.
Half smash.
Ah.
This is like my 5th drink.
Cool. Go big.
I'm just,
Go big.
we're here. Hey.
Is there a zoom on this?
Yes, it is.
Vinyl.
What? What's so funny?
Long range.
I'll be back.
Oh, another camera.
Oh, I love it.
Can you give the camera to Anna and let her take a picture of the 3 of us together and then
Oh, David.
okay.
I can take a picture as well. Carol.
Another glass of wine.
Yes.
That's the
Just
secret.
one.
The one
Come on,
I've already had one.
nobody's counting.
I've already had one.
Okay, Carol, when are you coming to me for massage? For a massage? I'm serious.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious.
Bye. Happy birthday.
I gotcha. Ah. Oh,
Thank you. Bye.
see you guys. Vicky, where are you going? Hey, pull them down.
There'd be a big white moon right now.
Woohoo, Vic!
From Pennsylvania, you should know how to ride a 4-wheeler.
I think so. You do know how to stop it.
Apparently, I don't know how to. Again. This will go on the website. Are you ready?
Go, Big. You're doing great.
I moved all the foot.
Wow, I'm impressed. Okay,
This is a trick. Doing it all.
I'll just add more. Woohoo!
So I might be
Hey, woman from Pennsylvania.
still don't know how to drive it, so what's the key to this one?
But you know how to move it. Down and gas. Woo! She did it! she comes! To be my first victim.
Yep, you're finally 21. Thanks, man.
You can drink beer.
Get that picture on her.
I got you.
Finesse.
Let's see. Who wants the wax part?
Do we have macheta somewhere? Machetas? Oh, I'm